Everybody essentially is trying to be their happiest, but to reach this goal, we have to know what makes us happy in the first place. Have you ever sat down and wrote a list of cultural practices or products, no matter how high or low, that make you happy? That's exactly what I decided to do, and I've chosen 5 of them to present to you today. The first thing that makes me happy is long bus journeys. Every morning I have half an hour by myself on the bus before anyone else joins me on my travels to college. Relating to the Concentric Circle by Carl Rogers, this gives me time to reflect on my core self that I don't share with anyone else, meaning I am able to reflect on my hidden self with Johari's window. Once people then join me on the bus, I look for a positive reaction in others to mirror my positive self by applying Cooley's looking glass theory. If this is good, it generally boosts my self-esteem and sets me off with a positive outlook of the day ahead. When people join me whom I do not know on the bus, I would certainly not expect the next passenger to come and sit near me, let alone next to me. This relates to proxemics, as we have a number of non-verbal devices and techniques at our disposal to ward off anyone who threatens to invade our space. These include the use of objects as markers, such as putting a bag or a coat to indicate your ownership of a space. A stare or a scowl can have the same effect, warning others to stay out of my space. However, I am not very good at applying these non-verbal devices, as some mornings a boy who I don't even know will come and situate his person in the vicinity of my own. I think this is because it is against my values to be impolite and project such a negative message to a complete stranger. I have developed these values because I have been socialised in a very polite family. The second thing that makes me happy is pets. Even though I do not own pets, members of my family and close friends do, as it is part of a trend in the Western culture and also part of the popular culture. However, my self-esteem is still boosted when these pets are excited or happy to see me, as my ideal self is to make people happy, even if this is to an animal through non-verbal communication, as it is still a socialisation process. Our ancestors would have used gestures to communicate long before we mastered the art of verbal communication, as today there are situations where gestures have distinct advantages as they can communicate information. This can be related to animals, as they do not completely understand our spoken language but do understand kinesics. The third thing that makes me happy is cooking. Because my job is as a chef, I have a self-fulfilling prophecy that motivates me to become as good a cook as I can be. Further, when I am doing the higher cultural practice of cooking, I am filtering out negative perceptions and negative information with White's gatekeeping model. However, when I am cooking, I am also conforming to cultural codes, such as tying my hair up, clearing up my mess, and as I go along I am washing my hands before and after service. Further, by working as a chef, I am creating more achieve roles and practicing assume roles with my initiative. I am, therefore, more likely to go into the adult ego state than child when faced with a difficult situation. Much like a recent scenario at work where multiple glasses and jars were knocked over and smashed, my older colleagues rushed in to help and I also joined them, whereas the colleagues whom were the same age as me stayed put and allowed us to instruct them to stay away from the glass and the mess on the floor. This could be because they had more ascribed roles than achieved roles throughout their life, therefore went into the child ego state instead. The fourth thing that makes me happy is eating out and treating myself. My love for food doesn't just exist when I am the one cooking it. I also enjoy wining and dining at gourmet fast food restaurants or sitting down to a full-on wine and dine meals. But am I just conforming to roles such as in Goffman that I'm supposed to be conforming to as an 18-year-old? This drive to be classy and enjoy a luxurious lifestyle depends on what group I associate with, much like Hartley expresses, as the different levels of liberation and conformity depend on what group you are situated in. If I had been in a different group and they wanted to visit McDonald's or a nightclub, I would have conformed through compliance, when really I would much rather spend my money on a classy cocktail. But by associating myself with like-minded people, am I applying Gergen and Gergen by protecting myself from negative feedback and keeping my outlook positive? The final thing that makes me happy is long walks. I really enjoy exploring what is around me, and by doing this I am conforming to Goffman, and being my sincere self, by carrying out a higher cultural practice that some of my friendship groups would not comply to. Therefore, I am reflecting on my emotional self to try and improve my self-esteem rather than reflecting on my bodily self, because one of my values is not to focus on my bodily self and other bodily selves, as I believe the emotional self is much more important. In just concentrating on these, there is a higher chance that it could cause me to receive negative information and perceive negative perceptions. This long time walking also gives me time to reflect further on my values. This is important as values are the bedrock of behaviour. Further, this could lead me to attempt to uncover my unknown self and adventure not only through Cornwall, but through my own Johari's window and my own identity. Generally, I believe when I am performing activities that make me happy, I am being sincere and rarely cynical. Therefore, I am performing with my own persona and wearing no mask, meaning that I am being my sincere self. This also improves my self-esteem, as by doing things that make me happy, I am reaching my ideal self, which is to be happy, meaning I am applying Stanley Kubrick's theory of the personal judgment of worthiness. The more I do things that make me happy, the happier I get and the closer to my ideal self I will become. It is a beneficial circle, and not only reflects my values but my identity too.